Hello, Excel friends. Today, I'll teach you how to clean up data using Power Query, and after that, how to append the data to our another query. And also, I will teach you how to extract data from previous period to produce a comparative report. And I will also teach you how to attach a slicer to our cube function. Okay, without further ado, let's open our previous report so we can from there we will start combining the cleaned up data to our previous report. Let's close this one. So this is our previous report, and by the way, if you want to follow or to practice along with this video, you may email a request of the sample data to asken2021@gmail.com. Um, okay, as you can see under the queries and connections, we are looking at some errors. We have the data source error. So I intentionally show this to you so that I can also teach you how to correct this kind of error. This is a common error when you move the folder that contains your data, or when you copy you report to another computer. So this is just very easy to correct. Okay, let's click on this and click edit. So from here, click the source that right side of the source, click it, and then click browse so that we can point it to the new location of the data. So click browse, desktop, YouTube tunnel, AutoFS, and we have this one, the date table. Click import, click OK. Now the error is gone. Then let's go to the next. Click source, browse, point it to the file, click import, click OK. So it's not yet clear. Then click on the next query. We have the navigation, then select sheet, and then click OK, and the error is gone. Now let's go to the last one with error. Click source, browse, locate the folder, it's here, click open, click OK. Now the error is gone. So close and load, close and load. Now the data is successfully loaded, and we are back to our report. Okay, now let's remove this one. Okay, now I'll teach you how to clean up data, but before that, let me show you the content of the file that we're going to clean up. This is the location of the file. So we have here the sample data that we will be cleaning up. So this one. So as you can see, there are unnecessary rows and unnecessary columns for our data. So we need to clean this up yet. And before doing some cleanup, please examine your files so that you would be familiar of what are the the unnecessary rows, unnecessary data that you are going to remove. In this case, we're going to remove this one with beginning balance, account balance, total. Okay, so that's it. Let's now start the cleaning up. So let's go to data again, get data, file, and from folder. And then we'll choose this folder and then click open, transform data. Now we're looking at the list of files inside those folders. And from here, we're going to highlight the content and the name. We don't need the other columns, so right click and remove other columns. From here, we're going to split the data inside the name column so that what we will have is only the name of the company. So split column by delimiter, and then click leftmost delimiter and then click OK. So from here we will highlight the name to the second column. We don't need this one anymore, so remove. From here we're going to extract the data inside the content column, and we're going to add column, custom column, and then from here, as I've taught you in my previous video, we're going to call the function Excel workbook, and then click content, and then okay. So we don't need this content column anymore. Right click and then remove. From here we're going to click on the double headed arrow, then uncheck this one, then we'll just check the data. It's the only column that we need. And then from here we click the double headed arrow again, and we will see the list of columns inside those files, and then click OK. Now we're seeing the data that needs to be cleaned up. We will remove the top 11 rows. We don't need it. So click on home, remove rows, remove top rows, and remove 11 rows. From here we will promote our first row to be our the column headers, and from here we're going to remove some of the rows that we don't need. Okay, those rows with zeros we will remove, and then those rows with beginning balance we will also remove. So does not begin with reference. Be careful to type the word because Power Query is a case sensitive program. So okay, another one, we will also remove those that begins with beginning. Okay, they're gone. Those also the rows that begin with total. They're gone. And the last thing is rows that begin with the word account. Does not begin with the word account. Okay, we have successfully removed majority of the rows that we don't want. Now our goal is to transform this data into something like this. So we need a column that will hold the account titles of each accounting entry. So we have here this one, and we need to have a column that has all those account titles. So from here, we're going to add a new column, and we will call this column account. And we have to have some filtering condition. If our transaction date, this one, as you can see, all the account titles under the transaction date, it's blank. So we have to use this condition so that we would be able to get the account titles. So if transaction date is equal to empty, then we will get the reference number that would be the account title. Else it should be null, and then click OK. We will transfer this column to the column before the reference number so we can see it. Okay, so now we're successful, the first objective. So we have the chart of account. We're able to get the chart of account of all this transaction date which is empty. Okay, so our next objective is to fill all these null values with this value with the chart of account. Okay, so here we're going to right click and then fill and then click down, so it's magically filled up. And from here we're going to remove this dates with blank. So click on this, go to the bottom and check the blank and then click OK. So we're almost done. Next is we're going to create a column that will hold the combined amounts of the debits and the credits. So we'll add another column and we will call that column amount. But before doing that, we have to bear in mind that any mathematical operations that we're going to do, if it has null on it, then the result would be null. So before doing that, we're going to replace all the null values here with zeros. So click this one and then replace values. Replace null values with 0 and then click OK. So there's zeros already. Now this time we're going to add a column. So custom column, we will call this column amount. And this is simply the combined amount of the debit and the credit. And then click OK. We're almost done. So from here we don't need this columns anymore. Total, the credit, the debit, the check number and the check date. Okay, so right click on this and remove columns. Okay, now this one we will rename this one to department debt, and this one we will rename this one to branch. Okay, so as you can see, we have these columns: branch, account, reference number, transaction date, depart, debt, and amount. So we'll take a look at our trans data: branch, account, department, and amount. So the only thing that we're going to do before doing the append is to change the data type. So this one should be text, Oh, this one also. This must be text. This one must be a date. And this one must be a decimal number. Okay. So from here, we're going to append this cleaned up data to our trans data. So we'll click on the trans data, then click home, and then click append queries. Append queries, and then select our raw data, and then click OK. Now we have already appended the newly cleaned up data to our original trans data. So from here, we'll click close and load to, and then we will select only create connection, and we don't need to add this to the data model anymore because the trans data is already connected to our data model. So we need not connect the raw data. Okay, so then click OK. So let's examine our pivot table here. We should be seeing 0, which means that our debits and credits are okay. They're balanced. Now let's go back here. Let's close these queries. From here, I'm going to teach you how to extract data from previous period. Let's say you want to compare our financial statement in a certain period with the figures of last year. So we'll copy this first. Let's copy it here. And then let's copy this one here. Let's expand this one a bit. Okay, so we'll see the data. And let's just copy the formats. Copy this one here to here. So the formulas will also be copied. This one also. This one. This one too. We'll also copy this for the formats, just for the formats, and then delete. This one also. And this one. Okay. This one also. Now we're ready to our format is ready. Now I'll teach you how to extract the data from the previous period. For that, we'll label this one. Current year. And this one, previous year. Okay. So to be able to extract the data from the previous year, it's just so easy. Let's copy this one here. And in a balance sheet, the ending date for a balance sheet is the end also of the income statement would be that would be B5. So since our objective is to get the data 1 year ago, so we will just deduct 12 months from B5. So to do that, we'll just enclose this B5 with the eDate function. eDate, comma, -12. So that means our data would be a year before March 31, 2015. So we'll enter that one. So since our data, the data that we have here is 2015, and our first transaction date is March 31, 2014, so we won't be seeing any data there. So that is why we have to change this one first to more, let's say, with 1 year data. That would be, I think, let's try December 1, 2015 to December 31, 2015. Okay, so now we have data until December 31, 2014 for this columns. So we will copy this one here. Also this one here, we'll copy this one. Also this one. See, it's just that easy. It's just that easy. Here we will negate this one because this is credit. This one also. Now, in the fund balance, this is quite tricky here. In the fund balance, however, our fund balance should end also 12 months prior to the end, or the end of the income statement. That would be B5. So we'll have eDate and that would be -12. And the amount that we added to the that we accumulate to the fund balance, that period prior to the start of the income statement, that would be B4 minus 1 and B1. So that would be B4 minus 1. This one. So that this would be also eDate eDate 12 minus 12. I guess it's okay. Then this one also, let's copy it there. And then on the income, we'll just simply copy this one. No, here. This would be this one. We will also deduct 12 months from here, and also this one. "12 months." Enter. Let's copy this one down. For the cost of sales, let's copy this. But let's remove the negation. Okay, let's remove the format there. For the income, let's copy this down there, and this one goes to the expense part. Oops. Comma. It's done. Now we already have the previous year. We already have the comparative financial statement by just simply changing some of the dates inside our cube function. So if you want to have a comparative figures comparing 2 months, then instead of subtracting 12 months, then you can just simply deduct 1 month. So you will also have a monthly comparative report. So from here, we will add another year of operations. Let's minimize this one. And from my folders we have here, we will add one more year for the two companies. Control C, and then let's add it to our root data here. Let's add it here. Okay, so we've just added another data that is supposedly that needs cleaning up. But since we have already recorded a query that cleaned up files inside those folders, at this point we don't need to redo what we've done, but what we are going to do is just refresh our data, refresh all, and what's it happening? Now we already have the data until December 31 of 2017. So if you want to have a data comparative figures for the year January 1, 2017 to December 31, 2017, so we have the data for the current year, the data for the previous year, and that's it. Okay, now we're almost done. The last topic that I am going to teach you, as I promised, is how to attach a slicer to your report. Say, for example, you want to see figures only for a certain department. Okay, so this is a query, and we want to add a slicer to that function. So from our pivot table, if we want to attach a slicer to our cube function, here in the department, just right click on that, then click add slicer. So that slicer is here. So we'll just transfer this slicer to our FS sheet. So just highlight on that, then we'll cut this one and move this inside our FS sheet, then Control V here. So we already have the slicer here. So if we will choose a department here, of course it's not yet, our figures are not yet affected. So before, so that these figures will be changed as we select a department or multiple departments, we have to attach this slicer to this function. To do that would be very, very easy. So before, inside the cube value function, this one until this one, because this one is already the error if error function. So inside this one, we're going to add the slicer. So we'll just have to comma, then slicer. As you can see, since we only added one slicer here, so we only have one option, the slicer department. Just select on that and bingo. So we already have attached the slicer to that cube function. As you can see, the figure inside the cell B70 is now 0 because that one is already attached to the slicer. So if I will uncheck the department, meaning I will remove the filters, then that number will go back to the original value. So that's it. So if I'll copy this one, of course both of these numbers already contain the slicer, is already attached to the slicer. So you can just simply copy this formula down. So those these cube functions will now contain the slicer. So let's do some experiment here. So we are expecting that only B70 and C70 will be affected by the slicer. So let's go up. If I choose this one, then only these two figures, of course the total will also be changed. If we will select a department with value, maybe this one, I think. Yeah, this one has value. This one, I think, none. This one, yeah, it has value. You see, so it's just that easy to add a slicer to our cube function. Okay, so I think that's it. And again, if you want to follow or to practice along with this video, please subscribe to this channel and email a request to acscan2021 at gmail.com, and I will send you the link where you can download the sample data for this exercise. So thank you very much for watching, and if you are new to this, and maybe I think you need to watch the previous video so that your knowledge will be complete. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good day.